Hello, everyone. Noreen here. Today, I have another special episode. Today, I'm with Ben. He's a student at the Dusitani College. So, we've got a couple of these recordings coming up. So, today, we're in conversation with Ben, and we're going to be hearing about his experiences in hospitality and in education in hospitality as well. And yeah, we've got some good topics that we're going to be covering up. So, Ben, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me as well, Kunarine.
So Ben, can you do a quick introduction of yourself?
So my name is Ben K. Limliman Mom, or you can call me Ben. I am a fourth year student at Dusitani College in the International Hotel Resort Management program. I am actually from the Philippines with also a Dutch nationality as well. And yeah, I've been in Thailand for at least more than 10 years now, but cannot speak Thai. So
Yeah, that unfortunately seems to be common. I think English is so prevalent in Thailand, no?
which is easier.
Okay, so we'll go into a bit more details about your background later, but let's start at the beginning and let me ask you, what made you interested to come into hospitality?
So what made me come into the hospitality is actually due to my parents' influence mostly. During high school days is when they start asking you questions like, "Oh, what do you want to do in the future?" So at first, yeah, I didn't have a plan yet. I didn't have an idea. I was thinking, oh, I like sports. Maybe I'll do something to do with sports. But then when my mom found out some things to do with like culinary and then hospitality in that sense, I started kind of like thinking about, oh, maybe that is interesting. I do like to travel. My parents love to travel a lot. And then after some time, I thought to myself, okay, maybe hospitality industry is something that is interesting to me. It's a bit more uh social, a bit more open, a bit has more that kind of like aspects of it for me. It suits me in terms of what my personality is, I would say, because very energetic and I love to do outgoing kind of things.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely agree that when it comes to hospitality, it's very social, it's very open, you get to meet a lot of people. It's very active as well. So I think, yeah, and it's amazing that you recognize it from the perspective that it suits your personality. And I think oftentimes we don't necessarily approach, our field or our choice of profession from that perspective. So, we spend so many hours of our day doing this work. So we better enjoy
Yeah,
what we're doing as well.
have that nice, yeah, have to have the passion to kind of like go into it, even though it's difficult. But yeah, it's fun.
Exactly. Okay, so you're a fourth year student of Disatani College. So what have been some of the highlights from your education this far?
Ooh, I would say is thus far is when I've learned uh the things that are to do with kind of that I didn't think I would normally be enjoying. So things like bartending, that was one of the key aspects that I had learned, and one of the things highlights that I've had during my education. The idea of making drinks, creating new, studying about the history of not even just cocktails, but like beer, wine, and all that. So that was fun. Working in getting that real life experience at the Mahogany at the early years, start of my years actually. So Mahogany is kind of like a restaurant, a fine dining restaurant, which is like ran only by students. So that was a highlight where we actually got the chance to experience real life guests coming in, and we have to serve them, create the menus, and all that stuff. And I guess the main highlight for me is the internship that I did in I think 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago I did my internship, and that was a good big highlight because I did 6 months in a real life workplace, a real life environment, and got so many experience and memories during that time.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And I think we'll be going into a bit more details from it. But before we go into it, let's think a little bit about the future and what aspirations you have for your career, and also perhaps how it's evolved from when you first joined DTC to where you think your aspirations are now today.
Uh, ooh. So you mean like what? How has it evolved like throughout the years, right?
Yeah, so when you first joined DTC, what did you think, what kind of career you might have when you graduated? And now, as you've gone through the 4 years, how are you looking at your future career today?
I think it's changed a lot. I would say because as I mentioned earlier, since high school, I was thinking, oh, I'll do something to do with like sports or an athlete aspect. But then I decided, okay, I'll go into hospitality. And in my head, at the start of the first year in hospitality, is okay, I'll be working at the hotel, kind of like in the like maybe front desk or something like that. And then when I got into these different subjects of bartending or even something like front office operations, I got to understand, oh, maybe I might be a bartender in the future, something interesting. And then after that, second year and third year came in. That was unfortunately that was during the event, COVID times. But at that time, my aspirations of my career did shift from time to time from being a bartender to front desk operator or even reservations or even I did even think about, oh, housekeeping is interesting. And now coming up to my fourth year, after the internship, I thought I enjoy a lot the F&B. I enjoyed a lot in serving the guests. So I was thinking, oh, maybe I might stick to more of a F&B department and more of like the front desk operations or front of the house operations. And now on my fourth year, I have to do one more internship, which is I will have to do more of a management training. So now my future career it might shift a little bit after that because I'm thinking, okay, maybe I might do because now I'm planning to do sales and marketing. Something maybe sales and marketing might be also interesting. Okay, so that's the beauty of why I love this industry is that there's a lot of different uh open doors for me and for everyone who choose this uh occupation is that there's a lot of open doors to go to and there's a lot of chances to have. Yeah, that's my aspirations for my career has changed a lot throughout these years.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I think you took the words right out of my mouth there in terms of this industry can offer you such a wide variety of career choices. You were saying you could do F&B, you can do front office, you can do housekeeping, you can do sales and marketing, guest services, or front desk operation. Like it's just so wide reaching, right? And it can really tap into, so many different types of skill sets that you may have, or, not, you can be rest assured that not a single day in when you're working in hotel operations it's going to be the same, right? Because every day is
Yeah,
that little bit different.
always different. Same operations, but always something new in that on that day.
Exactly. So speaking of operations and something new, what have you learned about delivering a great guest experience?
So what I've learned is so actually I've learned a lot about guest doing or offering or giving, I guess, a great experiences when during my internship, which I did, and I worked a lot at mostly at the club lounge during this internship, and that's where I got to meet a team, the club lounge team, and even though they all have to serve, they have the the standards to serve, but they all have a different way of serving to give a different kind of experience. And I was able to have that learning. I was able to learn from them from these different experiences. So what I've learned, especially, is that to offer a great experience is to try to go above and beyond the guest expectations. So even though that there is kind of like a standard for of a hotel or maybe the kind of like I would say like I wouldn't say a script, more like a guideline to follow. We can always go around it to kind of like offer more than what we should. So if so things even like the littlest things, something like remembering the guest name, returning guest name, uh, asking them how they're doing, giving saying good morning, what their plans are for the day, just even like little conversations or trying to help them out with any issues with the rooms or anything like that. I think is what I've learned to deliver a great experience. It's not always like the biggest things that you can do. It's what the little things that can become something great for the guest experience. Yeah, because they're all sometimes some guests are here like for a short time, so that short time means everything to them. And as they say, it's like, first impression is everything as well. So as soon as they come in, it's that warm greeting that will already spark that kind of great experience for them. Yeah, so that's what I learned.
Wonderful. I agree. It's just the little things can make such a difference, right? It doesn't always have to be the big
Yeah,
things. Just greeting someone as they come in, if you were for whatever reason not in a good place, but then you meet someone who's giving you a big smile and saying good morning and maybe remembering your name, you feel recognized. And I think that's the feeling that you're invoking in them when you do those things and notice the little things that you actually genuinely care and ask them questions and wanting to get to know them rather than just following, that standard script, which is obviously helpful. But when you're empowered to go beyond that and kind of get to know your guests, that's where I think the magic happens.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's always nice to see, like, yeah, I guess, like, in the end, like, enjoy their fun. Yeah, in the end, it's the guest experience that we have to try to satisfy as well. And if they're happy, of course, we're happy.
Exactly.
That's how it goes.
Definitely. And so my next question will be around sort of your multiculturalness. You said you're from the Philippines, you're Dutch national, but also living in Thailand for 10 years. So you definitely have, quite a multicultural influence in your life. So what have you learned about having this multicultural upbringing and, how has it impacted, yeah, your experiences thus far?
Um, so I guess because I would say because I lived, I guess, half my life already in the Philippines, so that's where I first grew up. So I was, and I my what was interesting my upbringing with my mom is that she kind of like already introduced me to the more international aspect. So like pretty much English was, I would say, my first language growing up. And when you're learning the English language, you will find yourself watching more of more international videos, clips, movies, books, and all that. So but I was still around the Filipino culture, so I was still enwrapped around that. But then when my Dutch father came into play, it was more interesting because he was yeah, he worked in Asia for a long time, so he understood the culture already. So it wasn't he it wasn't very, I would say it was a bit different to what I was expecting, but he understood it was easy to get along. And then when we moved here to Thailand, it was also, I thought at first it was gonna be difficult, but it was actually quite easy to kind of adapt here because it was the Philippine culture as well as Thai culture are somewhat similar in terms of like, we they like to eat, we like to eat. There's the party life as well. There's that strong family connections and stuff like that. But it was for me, it was just but the learning style. But when I learned in high school here in Thailand, is I learned in a more in the international side. So it didn't feel any different from when I was in the Philippines because I was also in an international school there. The only difference is that there was a more of the American program, so that was a bit different to here, which was more the English program. So I guess having the multicultural upbringing kind of like opened my mind in terms of being able to adapt to different cultures, meeting different people from different cultures, yeah, and then after that, I would visit, my dad's family side at in the Netherlands, and then that culture is also very different, of course, to Asia. So it was like like a culture shock, I guess I would say. It's like okay, so this is what they do here. They like in Asia we'd have rice, we'd have like rice would be like the main dish, but there it's a bit different. It's kind of like there's like potatoes or there's something else different. So I guess I became more eased into the whole international aspect of like people, which kind of helped me a lot to when I start working in the hospitality industry, especially in hotels, is I kind of get that understanding of the different types of guests that we'll get from different countries. So I was like, okay, so I understand maybe people from this country might feel a bit different or might be treated a little bit different, or maybe they might feel different in terms of like their types of culture. So that's why I think that having this multicultural upbringing is beneficial for me and how I felt it's like easy to adapt to others as well.
Thank you for sharing that. And I would say, from my own experience, having been brought up in Asia, and then when I went to Europe for the first time, not to visit, but just to when I went to study, actually. I think that was my first culture shock in the sense of and the first example I always use is food, right? Here it's like sharing style, everyone just gets in and you share everything. And then in Europe, it's like, no, you have your starter, your main course, your dessert. I'm like, I want to try that and I want to try that as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, I had to learn a few new things when it came to food.
Yeah, it's a bit different, like, and yeah, I think that's also the one thing where I got some similarities with Thai and the Thai culture and the Filipino culture. Like we
Mm.
share everything, and then when I went to see my dad's culture, like, oh, okay, so this is yours. Like, okay, but I want to try that. Like, Mom, can I try your food? I was like, okay.
Well, good thing for our parents, we're still willing to share.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing some of these insights from your career and education thus far. I am going to move on to my final question since I talk a lot about inspiration. I'd like to ask you, who has inspired you?
Ooh, I guess for me is the person. I guess I would say the not one person, but I guess my parents, in sense, are the ones who inspire me. It's because mainly they were the people who kind of like found out about my this kind of career. They're the ones who actually started this path for me. So I just wanted to so I want like to say like they're the ones who inspired me to kind of go down this road of hospitality and try I would like to like just live up their expectations at some point as well. I would like to give back what they've given to me as well. So they've been yeah, they've inspired me a lot to kind of like, just keep working, even though, the tough gets going, just keep going on, keep moving forward, just keep working and be passionate about what you want to do. Even after my during my internship, I would come back after a long day. Sometimes they would understand. They're like, "Oh, how was your day?" Yeah, they would like understand already how it is like because it's my first time working in this kind of like real life situation. So they kind of like also encourage me or bring me to keep me going and stuff. So yeah, I would say my parents are the first people who inspired me to do this, to to keep on doing this industry, but also my number one supporters in my entire life, I would say. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great to have parents like that to support you and give you the motivation to carry on moving forward. So Ben, thank you so much for joining me and thank you for
Thank you so much as
sharing
well.
your story with us today.
Thank you very much for having me as well. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.